Hello everybody, Austin Hill-Shaw here, founder of Creativity Matters and author of The Shoreline of Wonder on Being Creative. Welcome to another edition of Creativity and Bay Area Innovation. Creativity and Bay Area Innovation. And today we're going to talk about the spirit of cooperation fueling innovation. The spirit of cooperation fueling innovation. All right? I want to start by first talking about an article that I came across when I was at the grocery store in August. I was at the checkout stand, and on the cover of Scientific American magazine was this: a magazine dedicated to how we conquered the planet. How we conquered the planet. You know, how did Homo sapiens conquer the planet? Now, if that wasn't a provocative title there, it says, and below this it says, our species wielded the ultimate weapon, cooperation. You know, it's kind of, I find it pretty funny using the two words like cooperation and weapon in the same sentence, but he kind of goes on here. It says, a new hypothesis holds that two innovations unique to Homo sapiens primed it for world domination: a genetically determined propensity for cooperation with unrelated individuals and advanced projectile weapons. I'm going to read that again. This is what primed us for world domination: a genetically determined propensity for cooperation with unrelated individuals and advanced projectile weapons. So, you know, it's like I kind of find that it makes me laugh because it's funny, but I mean, really, if we look at that, we see, you know, that there was this willingness to cooperate with others. All right, the willingness to go beyond the fears that maybe other human-like creatures had, and willingness to sort of work together and to learn from one another, which for me is the essence of cross-pollination and creativity. We talked about the great cultural mashup several videos ago, but you can see that it's not, you know, scientists look at it. This is something that we're programmed to do. We're actually, despite all the, you know, the racism and homophobia and xenophobia that's out there, the fear of other, there's also inside us this deep desire to connect with others. I mean, if I look at it and take that all the way out, it's almost like, again, at the mental level, we come with dogmatic belief structures that say, hey, it's wrong to associate with this person or other. But if we really get down to it, we recognize all of us want to create, you know, all of us want to understand one another better and connect with our fundamental humanity. So, that's why I found that article so funny. But then here's the other half, you know, that the other half of our ability to conquer the planet was based on advanced projectile weaponry. Now, I want to cut us some slack in that. You know, that was a time where there's big animals roaming the earth, right? We had the saber-toothed tiger that was still around at that time, and other, you know, grizzly bears and things of that sort. You know, the human beings were not at the top of the food chain. We're still not in certain parts. You know, if you're a surfer, you know that. But really, you know, we had to vie for our own ability to survive out there. And what advanced projectile weapons offered vis-a-vis somebody like a Neanderthal who used spears is that we could attack from far away without the risk of injury. We could attack from far away without the risk of energy. So that was, we could see that is like, again, there's this heartfelt, genuine ability to connect with people who are unlike us, and this ability to innovate, right? We have a natural ability to create and innovate, which is part of who we are already, okay? Now, let's fast forward to the Bay Area. So one of the reasons, again, is that this whole series is like, why is the Bay Area such a creative and innovative place? Why is it such a creative, innovative place? And one of the most fascinating stories comes from Silicon Valley, like the early Silicon Valley. And basically, if you looked at where innovation should have sprung up, where Silicon Valley should have been, it was probably around in the Massachusetts area, around Harvard and Cambridge and all this, you know, these incredibly powerful universities where people are studying all sorts of things. And there was already infrastructure. For example, IBM was out there. There were other technologies, but the problem with that was that there were clauses that were said that you're not allowed to share information with people outside of this company. Okay, there were clauses that when people would be hired, that they said, we don't want you talking about any of the stuff that we have going in our company with a person from another company, right? So that was just the opposite in the beginning days of Silicon Valley. In Silicon Valley in the early days, people would come together, around this thing of the personal computer and semiconductors and microprocessors. They're trying to figure out how these things worked. And there are actually clubs, I think one was called the Hombrew Club, where people would come together and literally ask questions about innovations that they're working on. So there was this incredible sense of cooperation, and through that cooperation, learning through other people's innovations. And the other thing is that, this is truly the Wild West. There's companies that were sort of growing out of nothing, right? Apple being one of them. And because it was kind of the Wild West, they hadn't established all the senses of like a company like IBM had, that it's like, here's a clause, here's a manual, read this, do this. These are the things you can do as an employee. These are the things you can't do as an employee. Those just weren't in existence for a lot of the companies. They were moving so quickly that they're just trying to, again, figure out what was happening at the furthest frontiers of technology and solve it, not in isolation, but as a community, okay, as a community. So that's really the spirit of cooperation, some 150,000, 200,000 years later, that has actually, caused this region to rise, right? Now, as we move forward, it's going to be interesting to see how that, that continues to play out. Because it's often said that as companies get bigger, right? As companies get bigger, they get less creative because they start to put more constrictions on things. A lot of what I'm talking about is found in a book called Imagine How Creativity Works by a gentleman named Jonah Lehrer. These stories here. So if you're interested in them, you can read more about them there. But it's an interesting question. What's it going to look like as these companies get bigger and bigger and bigger, right? More influential. Will that spirit of cooperation continue, not only internally, but with other innovators and creators out there? If we don't figure out ways in which people can still, again, profit from the things that they make, but yet at the same time figure out how to share information in a way so that everybody can benefit and people can grow their businesses, this place at some point will probably start to dwindle. Inevitably, it'll start to dwindle. Just that's the nature of things. I mean, it's a sort of a boom town right now, but again, things change. Things change, right? So my question to you today is, first question, how has cooperation helped you to move through things that you've been working on, either innovations, difficult things that you've been trying to explore, or even personal revelations? How has cooperation aided you and your ability as a creator? And two, what are some of the, if you've been working on specific technical things in your life, maybe you have been trying to write a bit of coding. Maybe you have been trying to, come up with a new fabric or way of doing it, or even a new style of kind of a fashion sensibility. How have you worked with others in a way that has allowed not only you to grow what you're doing, right, and innovate and be creative in what you're doing, but has also aided the other person in bringing forth their gifts into the world? I'd love to hear about that. If you care to share, please put that in the comment sections below this video. Also, I've said this before, but the information that are below these videos that are written out, they're not just transcripts. They're, it's a whole other set of information related, in this case, to the set of the spirit of cooperation fueling innovation. You'll hear more about some of these tech firms that I was talking about and how they were able to grow vis-a-vis what was going on the East Coast. If you're not on my website right now, www.austinhillshaw.com, please go there. That's where you'll find all the action. And also, please feel free to share this information with others. I'd love to get this word out, and I can only do that with your help. So really grateful for that. So once again, this is Austin Hill Shaw, founder of Creativity Matters and author of The Shoreline of Wonder, reminding you to connect deeply, to make a difference, and to inspire creativity in others. Thank you so much for joining me.